got together a couple weeks ago and said, "Hey, look, let's put some really awesome content together for the real estate industry." So my guest, Jordan Weber with ZBuyer, one of the long-lasting lead generation companies in the industry that has just had a huge breakthrough in how they're doing lead generation lately, and more importantly with AI. And so we're really excited to spend about an hour with you on just talking to you about AI and lead generation. Who agrees that lead generation is the lifeblood of your business? If you don't have enough leads, you can't hit your transaction goal, right? And so it's a really important topic. And with this buzz around AI, a lot of people are just wondering how to use AI to help them generate and convert leads like in real life, and not something fictitious, not something that somebody's just talking about from the stage, but something that's actually happening in real time in the trenches. And so we're going to actually share with you some case studies of some real life examples of people using AI to generate and convert leads along the way. Again, my name is Isaiah Colton. This is Jordan Weber. If you don't know who I am a serial entrepreneur and business coach. I founded a company called REN and a division of it called REN AI, which our whole mission is to help you do three things: generate leads, convert leads, and scale your business with AI. And so what we're doing is we're doing a series of webinars talking about lead generation and AI right now. And I'm really excited for those of you that are just logging on to have Jordan Weber on here. He's been in the lead generation game for a long, long time. And we're going to go ahead and get started a little. We're going to go ahead and started by telling you a little bit about the backstory of how we got into lead generation, how we met. Are we ready to take some notes, folks? Are we ready to rock and roll, take some notes, and have some fun together over the next 60 minutes? Folks, if you don't want to have fun and learn together, please keep your camera off, okay? If you don't want to have fun and you don't want to learn, please keep your camera off. But if you want to have some fun together, okay, and you want to make this interactive, okay, we want to make sure that this is more of a mastermind group. This is designed to be more of like a talking podcast than it is a webinar. We don't have any formal notes. We don't have, we have a guide in the background that Jordan and I want to talk about, but we don't want this to be some canned webinar. And here's our promise to you. There is going to be no pitch on this webinar. Okay. This is pure educational. The only thing we're going to do at the end is, if you like what we have to hear, we're going to give you an option to check out REN AI services and an option to check out ZBuyer services. Is that cool to everybody? But there is zero pitch on this webinar. This is all educational, just designed to get to know each other and to make sure that you can leave here with a proven blueprint to generate leads. Okay. Now, what do I mean by a blueprint? For those of you that stay to the end of this webinar, we have a workbook that one of our divisions in REN AI does AI coaching consulting. It's a $400 workbook that normally you only get access to if you're part of the community. We're going to give that lead gen conversion workbook on how to use AI away for free at the end to everybody, just for hanging out with us and saying, "Hey, high five, congratulations. We stuck together for 16 minutes and thank you for your time." Okay. So you all get that. Our team is watching who's staying to the end. That'll go out to you afterwards. And with that, I'm excited, Jordan, to have you here today. Is it all right if I tell a little bit of the backstory about how we met? Is that cool?
Absolutely.
Okay. So for those of you that don't know, myself and two partners, we built an independent brokerage. And early on, I was looking for seller leads. We wanted to be a seller-focused brokerage. And we were doing FSBOs and expireds, and that was pretty cool. We were doing really, really well with those. But who agrees that making outbound cold calls only, right, can get a little bit worrisome if that's all you're doing, right? Now, we were doing other things like SOI, but we were looking for alternative lead sources and different things. And at the time, I actually, my partner goes, "Hey, there's this company called ZBuyer you should check out." And they have this cash offer concept. And we liked cash offer leads because we would either list the property or even potentially refer it out to like an investor or even buy it ourselves. And so I'm like, "Oh, this is really cool." And so we signed up to that one, and we signed up to a whole bunch of other lead sources, okay, at the same time. And kind of a funny story with ZBuyer is we weren't tracking our results properly. How many people have ever made that mistake where you've signed up to something, you haven't engaged with it properly, you didn't track it properly, right? Like me. And so we're spending all this money on lead generation and we're like, yeah, we're gonna kill it. And then 3 months go by, 4 months go by. I'm looking at a $15,000 a month bill between all these lead generation companies, and I'm like, what the heck is going on, right? And so, making a long story short, my agent's like, we don't know what's going on with ZBuyer, so I canceled them. And and so, what I have to share with you, 6 months later, that was one of the worst mistakes that I ever made, and we're going to talk about that a little bit in today's training and why. But fast forward. We had some basic automation back then. We had some inside sales agents following up with the leads, some agents kind of haphazard working the leads. Nothing as organized as what we're going to talk about here today.
How long ago was it, Isaiah,
Um,
when you very first used us? When you
2014. Yeah, that was 2014, 2015. That's so a long time ago.
AI and automation, there were no webinars
There was
back
no
then to
webinar.
learn how
Yeah,
to do this stuff at high levels.
that's right. It was all over the place. Yeah. And
Yeah.
but even then, we had gotten somewhere between 7 to 10 transactions within that 6 month, within like you fast forward 6 to 8 months later. And I'm like, where are these transactions coming from? And they're like, well, it's these Z-buyer leads that were there. They went through their life cycle. And then I was hooked on Z-buyer, and I've been fortunate to have met Jordan along that journey about personally about I think what 5 6 years ago, Jordan.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we've really done a lot of masterminds around not just Z-buyer leads, but lead generation in general. And I would have to say Jordan is at the top 10% when it comes to all things lead generation. And I've been excited to learn from him, grow with him, and just do these calls together. So, Jordan, anything you want to add to that before we kind of dive into today's topic?
Yeah, of course, I'm with ZBuyer. So I love being able to take these principles and apply them directly to ZBuyer leads. But the truth is, this applies to any leads that you
Yep.
have in your system. ZBuyer leads, they're cash offer. So it's slightly different language. But whether they're FISBOs or expireds or anything else, these principles can be applied to anything. It's the framework and the structure for nurturing any seller leads within your system long term. I will say though, one of the really big things, and you talking about FISBOs and expireds, that's changed, especially with AI, is compliance and ability to use AI with these people. And that's one thing that we have tried to stay on the forefront of. There's new legislature coming out every day around this stuff. It's so new. Everyone's looking for ways to control it and create new legislature around it. But that is one thing we've stayed ahead of, and we've
Yeah,
tried to be
got to
on
talk
the
about that.
cusp with, because I think that's really important. So these principles can be applied anywhere if it's the right type of lead that has the authority to do so. But
Yeah, I'm
let's
glad you said that, and let's make sure we dive into some compliance a little bit later on. I think that's really really important to talk about. Nobody wants to get sued here, right? So
no,
we want to stay compliant with TPCA. It's a real thing. And yeah, I love that. One of the things that one of the concepts that we're going to kind of open up and talk about for your notes is that you have to have different pillars of lead generation. Okay. And some of the pillars that we're not going to talk about today because we don't have time to talk about all of them. But if you come back to the next free webinar that we host, we'll talk about the other ones. But the first pillar is warm, what we call warm lead generation. You would know this as your existing database, your past clients, your sphere of influence. Maybe people that are like in your 30, 60, 90-day pipeline that aren't quite ready to close, but you're nurturing, right? You know that as your warm database. Some people call those like A leads, right? And then you have other pillars which we're going to really drill down on today is paid ads or paid traffic. And you can do this through a combination of things. A lot of people think of it that it's just a paid ad. You can pay affiliates to help you generate leads. So we're gonna talk a little bit about some of those other things. But paid traffic is what I want you to write down. And then there's another one where you can do cold outbound traffic, right? Cold, where they don't know who you are at all, right? And so essentially you're working the lead that they haven't opted into anything. And then you have what's called organic. You'd know as like content SEO, social media. And then there's other ones that we might get to in this series, we might not, but like events, like this is an event, right? This is doing events, and that an event could be open houses, right? Another source of lead generation could be like vendor partners. That's the sixth one, is really doing joint vendor partnerships. And so, but we call this the core four. The first four I gave you are the core four. And if you want to build a seven-figure business, and if you looked at our track record, we got up to about 100 agents, and we got so good at lead generation, we started bring on referral partners, and we got up to 700 referral partners, folks. We were moving over well over $1 billion in listings through that referral network, and we did it by mastering both paid cold traffic as the two big pillars. We mastered them. And so we're going to talk about paid today a little bit here, but does everyone got the general framework? Okay, what we're going to discuss here today, really focusing on paid traffic. And did we all have a chance to write down the core four? Okay, we good? So come back to the next webinars because we're going to drill into the other ones and give you a blueprint for the other ones. But Jordan, let's talk about why people uh, need to find alternative paid traffic besides like Zillow or these platforms that are just gouging them that have really high. Why does it make sense to find a lower cost per lead in today's market, in your opinion?
Yeah. So, in my opinion, if someone's going to Zillow, if they're pay per click, they're high intent, chances are they're so far down the decision making process that choosing an agent is already at least halfway made up in their mind. I think finding people a little bit before that, breaking the Zillow curse, getting them right there whenever they're already at the door. Because one of the biggest complaints I hear with Zillow is they've already got an agent, they already have someone they're working with. In Zillow, they favor people who pay more at the end of the day. So I mean, you're fighting, the enemy in some cases there. In their premium prices, their shared leads, no exclusivity options. Zillow's going to continue to do with those leads what they want to do with them. Whenever you break away from some of the Zillow curse and you get into other paid lead spaces, and whenever you really get creative, like with ZBuyer, we do email marketing. We capture people differently than pay per click, letting them come to our site. We go get in front of them before they're 100% ready to say, hey, I want to talk to an agent today. So we give that agent to be the one to start the conversation, to start the thinking process, to start hey, this is a 6-month plan, and you don't have to wait until 6 months from now when you're ready. Let's start now. Let's figure out the ways to maximize your home's value. Let's put a strategy in place to make sure when the time does come, you're in the best position possible.
Yeah, how many people have had that experience that's ever used Zillow before, like we have, where don't get me wrong, some of the leads are good, but for what you're paying. And when we do our our AI coaching consulting division of REN and REN AI, we see this happen a lot in P&Ls where even the people that are generating business off of Zillow, they're paying out so much, right? The actual positive cash flow, it's so slim. And even with the Zillow Flex teams, the other thing too is if you don't have diversification in your paid lead generation sources, if you get hooked on a lead source like Zillow, I've seen it collapse teams. I'll give you a quick story. There's a team out of Florida. They literally had to sell their team because they became a Zillow Flex team. The whole team got addicted to these Zillow Flex leads, and they couldn't make any profit because the team wouldn't work anything else. And it literally crushed their P&L. And he had to sell the team for like pennies on the dollar of what he could have gotten if he had just had a more diverse lead generation source. So I think that's this really important. So the first lesson is diversity in lead generation. So write that down, please. Diversity in lead generation, even when it comes to paid lead sources, right? You want to have, if your budget allows it, you want to have a diversity of different types of leads that you're able to generate. Now, Jordan, do you see this mistake that I see is where people sign up to too many like paid lead sources at one time and they all have a little bit of a different way to work them? Have you seen that mistake?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Because every lead source has a different call to action, a different hook, a different psychology of the lead coming through the path, whatever they're doing, whether it's a Zillow lead, a buyer lead, a seller lead, is it a home valuation or cash off? They're all different. You have to build a system and a strategy specific to that lead type. And it takes time to hone it in. You can't say in a week, and I've gotten 5 leads through this source, I've got it perfected. You need a month, 2 months, 3 months. You need to build out that nurture. And whenever you sign up for 5 different lead sources in a week's time and you willy-nilly throw something together for each one, none of them are going to convert at their best. They might be 5 great options that all have the ability to have positive returns and great ROIs. But if you don't put the time into setting each one up correctly, they're all going to fail.
I love that. And I'm going to give you guys a bonus here that I wasn't intending to talk about, but I'm going to give you a prompt that we teach in our community. I call it the God prompt. How many people have ever sat in on a prompting class and they give you a 200-page workbook and they all these different prompts that you're supposed to use, but then you don't ever remember where the prompt book is at the end of the day, right? So like I'm going to give you a prompt to actually work any sort of lead. You guys ready? Okay. Doesn't matter what lead type. I'm going to give you a prompt on how to work any kind of lead. Okay. So what you want to do is let's just say that you purchased cash offer leads, or in this case, ZBuyer leads. And you want to make sure that you have the right scripts, dialogues, and follow-up sequences to work the leads. What you do is you go into your favorite large language model, which I would recommend Gemini or Claude, okay, for this particular exercise. The reason why I'm not recommending ChatGPT is because they've fallen behind. If you get into our world, you'll realize why. But you can use it for ChatGPT as well. But here's what you say. Give me the perfect prompt to teach me the scripts and dialogues that I need to know to prospect and nurture cash offer leads like ZBuyer. Now, if you're like, oh my gosh, you're going way too fast, don't worry. This is in the book we're going to send you. Okay. But just kind of give you the idea, the outline. Now, what's going to happen is you're going to put that prompt into your large language model. And what it's going to do, it's going to give you a very in-depth prompt you can never think of yourself. And then what it's going to do, it's going to go into do deep research on all of the different ways that people are working cash offer leads. It's going to pull the best of the best, and it's going to give you the best scripts and the best dialogues, okay, and the best nurturing campaigns. How many people want the best scripts, the best dialogues, the best nurturing campaigns for whatever lead you're buying, right? And so this is a way, kind of a growth hack to do that. Now, what if you notice what I did, Lindsay, I'm going to actually make sure the prompt is sent out to you afterwards. I promise you, okay? So one of the things that you noticed that I did, though, is I didn't actually prompt the large language model. I asked it for the perfect prompt. Well, I asked it for the perfect prompt. The reason why I did that is because I want to tap into its genius. And then I just simply say, okay, run the prompt. And the results will be so much better for you. I don't have time to drill it down to this even more, but that's a little bit of a side note. And because the reality is every lead type needs to be worked differently. And I think one of the other things, Jordan, if we talk about timelines, is people remember my story about folks, my story about canceling too soon, right? Who was here for that at the beginning of this? Well, the reason why I did that is I had no idea. I had no idea about life cycles, timelines, right? Like Jordan said, educational webinars on how to work leads in 14, 15. I was trying to just figure it out. So let's talk about paid ad timelines. What's the life cycle, or what's the buying cycle of these leads? And let's walk through that a little bit.
Yeah. So with our leads in specific, we see roughly 6 to 8% will convert within the first 12 months of them coming into our system, become a lead with us. But of course, that's an average. That means there's leads that are in there converting within 45 days, and that means there's leads that are in there converting within 3 years. So I'm going to kind of take a little twist here. This goes back to one of like the first webinars you and I ever did before, is having a system and having buckets and being able to differentiate these leads and the timelines, because not every source, even if it's all the same leads from the same source, people are going to be in different timelines. They're going to be in different buckets. They're going to be in different categories. I think the first step is being able to identify, place them into a bucket, and then watch people transition as the timeline changes, because you can't see the progression of the leads. You can't see if your system's performing the way it should be, and you can't see how the leads are performing if you're not following that timeline and splitting them up correctly and marking your hot leads from your warm leads to your cold.
How many people need help organizing your database this way and need the structure set up? Okay. So that's one of the things that we see when people are doing marketing and sales. Their database is a hot mess. It's all over the place. They don't have the A, B, C, and D structure, or they don't have the hot, warm, and cold like Jordan's talking about. And because they don't have that set up, they're essentially reaching out to and marketing to all of their leads the same way with no and what I call organized chaos at best. Okay.
Yeah.
And who agrees that's not the best way to run your business, right? Is you want to run your business with systems, right? With a system in place. So how we define a system is having the right people, process, and tools in place. And folks, database, if you don't, your first action step off this webinar is you got to get your database organized. Okay. So that way, when the leads flow in, when you're paying for leads like ZBuyer or whatever the lead is, it's going into the right bucket, which if it goes into the right bucket, then you can do things and work it the right way. It's so funny. Another thing we see all the time, Jordan, is like people are operating out of 4 CRMs and a spreadsheet.
I don't know
Right?
how.
I don't know how they do. I don't know how they do it. And so
It's
one lead source is
it's
going to a
chaos.
spreadsheet, right? It's chaos, right? Another
Yeah.
another lead source is going to this system, right? And so you got to have your leads pointing to a system with a bucket that's going to have a really good follow-up system attached to it, which we're going to talk about. And if we look at that, kind of like talk about like attempts before we get into like follow-up systems, some non-negotiables. What do you see where the leads convert if they're being worked the right way, Jordan, as far as attempts go and outreaches go? What are you seeing?
Yeah. So
Um,
it's 8 to 12 outbound attempts to get into contact with them. And it varies drastically. There's so many factors that go into that. Speed to lead is going to help decrease that
yep,
tremendously.
tremendously.
But that goes back to having the systems in place, because if you don't have the right systems and you don't have the proper tools in place, speed to lead doesn't exist. So there's some pieces that go into that. And then there's also that 8 to 12 depends on your messaging. If you're taking that prompt to AI and you're getting the right prompts, because if you're not speaking the language that you need to that lead type based on the call to action that they saw, it's going to take you many more attempts because you're speaking a totally different language to them. But 8 to 12
Yeah.
attempts is that average that it takes. And one of the biggest problems that we see, and where I get brought in on the customer service side of ZBuyer, helping teams grow with our system, is they say, well, we call them 2-3 times and they didn't answer, and so we just gave up. And then it's okay, well, let's do a deep dive, and we go look and we find that leads sitting in their system we delivered to them are listed, they're on the MLS, or they've closed. And they said, well, we called them a couple times and nothing happened. Giving up way too early.
How many people have a team member, or maybe you in the past have given up too early? Now that you're hearing about that, right? You're thinking about that like I have. And one of the things that one of the shifts that I had when it came to lead generation, lead conversion, is that folks, we are in the relationship building business. And if you think about all of these leads instead of a name of a phone number, but try your best to understand that these are real human beings in your database. As crazy as that sounds, it's easy to dehumanize this process. Does that make sense? It's easy when we talk about leads and conversion and so one of the things that I try to do is I try to remember they all have pains, they all have motivations, they're all at a different cycle. And I don't have to take any of this process personally. I just have to follow the best practices, lead with value, and I'm going to get the best result possible. So just a little bit of a mindset hack there is remember that you're in a relationship building business, and the point is to get as many people to know, like, and trust you as possible so they can be part of your sphere. That's the whole point of paid lead generation, folks, outside of obviously getting a transaction, right? And so
Yeah.
we can't be afraid to make contact. This is another thing I see. Give an analogy I give all the time to Jordan's point. How many people are a football fan of any kind? Like have a favorite football team? Okay, here, just drop your favorite football team in your chat. Who's your favorite football team? And if you are follow that football team, who's your favorite defensive player on the football team? Okay, who's your favorite defensive player on the football team? Just go ahead and drop
That's
it.
your team, Isaiah.
Buffalo Bills, Buffalo Bills, and I would like to say that I have a favorite defender on the Buffalo Bills, but after the heart-wrenching loss,
Yeah.
it's tough. But so uh, so whoever your favorite defender is, I want you to imagine that a running back's coming towards them, and they purposely step out of the way. How long would they be in the game? How long would they be in the game? So what happens is what we see all the time is we see people stepping out of the way. They're you're in a contact sport. So you have to be willing to make contact, folks. You have to be willing to make contact and go through that process of building relationships because you are in the NFL of real estate. That's the job. So just a little bit of a side note, but here's the cool thing. How many people agree making contact and chasing people down in large volume is difficult? It's time consuming. It's a pain in the you know what by show of hands. Only one person. Lindsay's the only one that thinks it's a pain in the you know what. Okay, we got some Monica, we got Paula, right? We got some other people participating. Dennis, yeah, thank you. It's a pain, right? And so now what we have to do is we have to work smart. And we call this, we at REN, we really focus on what we call working smart hardware. We got to work hard, folks, but we don't have to work dumb or stupid or work like it's 1999. Does that make sense? Okay. We don't have to work like it's 1999, right? Where we're just blazing phone calls and hoping that we're going to get a high enough pickup rate. So, Jordan, let's walk through some what we would consider non-negotiables for 2026 when it comes to best practices of working leads.
Yeah, I mean, I know we're saying it's not the 90s, and we're in 2026, but I think a principle that's always been around, there's just a new level of significance put on it in recent years is speed to lead. I don't think that one will ever change.
I agree.
Um, and
I agree.
we've got this list of kind of notes we're working on. It's at the top of the list, and I think it deserves to be there because everything else kind of falls apart if you wait 2 days to follow up with a lead.
And so, folks, the what I'm hoping your takeaway for this is that you need AI and automation or an AI powered automation to do that speed to lead with you and for you. Because guess what? You're out in the field sometimes, right? You're at open house. You're with your kids. And so one of the things we see is as old as that principle is, we see when people come to us that less than 10% of clients or real estate professionals or even in the home service industry are doing speed to lead the right way. And
Yeah.
so,
Well,
and it's so costly.
it is, yeah. And whenever you think about it, not just in the cost of the lead cost, but whenever you look at the opportunity cost of a lost commission to someone else, because that agent or that homeowner is not going to answer the call. They went and filled out another form. They're engaging with someone else. That's the true cost of it. It's the opportunity cost for you to have the chance to have met with that homeowner, potentially gotten that listing, tapped into their sphere, gotten a referral from them that took you into another listing appointment. And it goes on and on and on. And that's what people don't understand. Whenever I get brought into these conversations, helping teams, I ask, what's your speed to lead look like? And they'll oftentimes say, I don't know. Probably 5, 10 minutes, 15 minutes. And I break out this stat that you and I've talked about, just about every one of these we've done. At 30 minutes, conversion drops by 21 times. You and I've talked about this for
21 times.
years
Yeah.
now. But it's insane. And whenever you look at that opportunity cost that's lost, I mean, how do you quantify that?
Yeah, that's huge. That's huge. We just got a little convicted about speed to lead like I did, right? Just hearing that opportunity cost, right? That could be per batch of 100 leads, that could be $10,000-$20,000 in commissions per 100 leads or more, depending on your market. Um, let's talk a little bit about diversity of follow-up because I think that's another huge mistake is you still have a lot of people that they're only using one channel of follow-up. Maybe it's the phone, maybe it's text. So AQ goes, I'm pissed. I love AQ. That's great. So let's talk about how that affects, because you said, you said earlier, which I love what you said, is that it doesn't have to take necessarily 8 to 12 of your manual touches. There's a lot of factors that go into that. So how does multi-channel follow-up through text, call, text, email affect conversion?
I think it's so significant because that multi-channel follow-up, what's happening here, there's call, there's text, there's email, and I think there's another more. There's retargeting, there's paid ad campaigns that you can run once they've hit your ecosystem. But what happens? It's that consistent and repetitive Isaiah Colton popping up in front of them, that consistent, repetitive Jordan Weber popping up in front of them. And eventually, they see Jordan Weber show up on caller ID and they're just, inclined enough to hit answer because I keep seeing this guy's text and I keep seeing this guy's emails. And I know I filled that out and he's trying to let me see what he has to say. It's that trust building, that confidence building that takes place even without there having been a conversation yet. And it's hitting them from multiple angles at multiple different days, multiple different times, to where eventually they fall for it. They bite, they open up the conversation. You've put in the work, you've shown them that you're serious about helping them. So I think that's what a lot of it is. You're showing them that you're serious. You're not just going away. Because who wants a realtor that's going to call one time and then never reach out again after you just filled out a form saying you need help?
Yeah, and I think it's a really good call out because please write this down, folks. People don't do business with people that have the best service. They do business with people that are in front of them when they need it.
Yeah.
Now, don't get me wrong, they'll do their research to make sure it's a good service, but you have no chance if you're not in front of them to even for them to even find out about your service. And I love what Danny Ross says here is I fear with AI or automation that it won't represent me as well as I can do for myself. My client may figure out they're talking to a robot, and that makes me nervous. Danny, I love this. Can we unpack this for a couple minutes, folks? Is that cool with everybody? Does anybody else have that concern about automation or smart campaigns or AI? Uh, so first of all, I want to say I had the same concern, and I think Jordan, you probably hear this from your community
Oh,
a lot
yeah.
too. And one of the things that once I looked into the statistical data, how many people can you possibly talk to in one day? Right? It's different for everybody, right? Well, have you guys ever had an imperfect phone call? Have you ever had a bad day? Have you ever had somebody that just torqued you off? Well, one of the things that we used to do and we still do is we have inside sales agents, right? Well, sometimes they have bad days too, right? And so what we found is there's two principles here. The principle number one, AI, well-trained AI, please write this down, a well-trained AI agent in Smart Campaign can do the work of 10 of you in one day. So what it would take for you to do in one day, or you to do in 10 days, it will do in one day. So even if it's like 80%, like maybe not quite as good as you, the entrepreneur's curse, especially the solo entrepreneur's curse, is to they don't do anything. They don't gain any leverage either through people, process, or tools because they're concerned about it being as good as them, right? It's the entrepreneur's curse. And so what ends up happening is they never get leverage in their life and they never get leverage in their business. So eventually they build themselves a prison into a high-paying job that they can never get out of. And even though they're making good money and they're successful, it caps. And that has repercussions. And so we made a decision, we found this, that even if the AI and automation represents us within an 80th to 90th percentile of what we could do as a professional, okay? That would be equivalent to a brand new realtor that just got their license, picking up the phone, calling my database. Or better, probably. Okay. Or probably a lot
Yeah.
better. So that's principle number one, right? And then Jordan, I'll turn it over to you. Principle number two, okay, is a lead contacted is better than no lead contacted. Most of the people you're not going to be able to get a hold of, period. So what does it matter? Jordan, turn it over to you.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, a lead contacted versus no lead contacted, whenever we're looking at that, and there might be the chance of an imperfect conversation, but a conversation took place every day of the week. I want that lead to get a conversation. I want it to be contacted. And the great thing is I can jump in at any time and take it away from the
That's a good
AI.
point.
It doesn't have to be this weird, abrupt, change off. It doesn't have to feel awkward. I can take over at any point, and it can become my conversation. That was mine all along. To Danny, your point, AI won't represent you as well as what you could do yourself. They might feel like they're talking to a robot. This is what I thought a year ago from talking to Chat GPT and not seeing advancements of other AI models, and specifically a real estate trained and focused AI model that's geared towards having the same type of conversations that you have on a daily basis. And that is the key thing. If the only AI models you're talking to are the Chat GPTs of the world, and you're not seeing sophisticated AI models built specifically around what we do day in and day out, it's a valid fear.
Yeah,
But that's the great thing about AI. Whenever we can tailor these conversations so delicately, and we can teach the AI so well, and it's getting better and better every single day, we can solve a lot of those problems.
I love that. And for those of you that are curious how good an AI can sound, towards the end, we're going to give you an opportunity to be able to experience that. So just hold tight, okay? Does that sound good to everybody? And because Jordan's absolutely correct, is there's a difference between just AI and a well trained industry specific AI agent. But here's the analogy I'd like to give you. I want you to imagine having an army of people that has anyone ever seen um, has anyone ever seen Neo when he was fighting Agent Smith and what's the movie? Why can't I remember the movie? Um, The Matrix. Okay, remember the scene where Neo was fighting Agent Smith in Matrix? Is anyone a Matrix fan? Nobody. Okay. Well, um, Agent Smith duplicated himself over and over again. It's a pretty unfair advantage. Would you agree? So that's what the AI does. It duplicates itself and can have as many conversations at one time as it needs to without the payroll. So just keep that in mind. We got to move on here. Any final thoughts on that, Jordan? This topic before we kind of go into maybe a good follow-up framework, what that could look like, and talk a little bit about that.
No, the biggest thing I would say, don't hold yourself back from exploring AI and what it can do for you, and how it can drastically change your business, the way you work, nurture, and engage with leads, because you're scared of how it might sound and how it might come across. Deep dive, look into what's out there, meet with Isaiah's team, and let them show you what they can do, because AI is not what it used to be. So take a look at it. Don't let that fear hold you back. The other thing, you can set parameters on what your AI is allowed to do and what it's not allowed to do. How far into a conversation it go. But its goal is to set up conversations. It's not replacing what you do. It's getting conversations going so you can step in and do what you've always done.
And Jordan, before we talk a little bit about the advantage of a cash offer lead and specifically with ZBuyer, the advantage of your leads as we get towards closing out here, is let's talk about a little bit of a follow-up framework on just some basic fundamentals of what a good follow-up sequence would look like, and just on a very high level for their notes.
Yeah. So number one, and this is speed to lead. I need to have just like a sign that I just speed to lead. I
Yeah.
can throw up in the air. But number one, call, text, and email, not call or text or email. It's call, text, and email. Within 5 minutes of that lead being captured and hitting the system, it has to start running automatically. Those automations have to be in place, and they have to be going out right away. You've got to strike while the iron's hot. Um, and then from day two for the first week, it's daily touch points, alternating channels. What we see internally that works well is a minimum of 2 touch points per day. But then also being able to track and see email opens. Are they engaging, but they're just not jumping over the fence? And if that's the case, turn up the volume. And so having your system being able to be flexible in that capacity is huge. And then at that point, if we didn't make contact with them in the first week, for the rest of the first month, it's every 2 to 3 days, but it's value based content. It's not, I'm Isaiah and I'm a realtor. And when you want to sell, you call me. It's value, building value with them, because whenever you build value, you build trust, you build confidence. They start to get to know you and how you're going to help them. At that point, month 2 through 6, we're weekly nurture, market insights, regular check-ins, but it's still consistent value. Whenever you start just putting fluff in front of them and just paper filler in front of them, it does nothing. They don't engage. They don't have trust built. There's no confidence built. So you have to continue with this building value in front of them. And then from there, after that 6 month mark, it's just monthly, continuous, long term nurturing until they're ready.
Awesome. And for
I'm going to
those
be
of you that,
honest.
yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. That sounds daunting to anyone looking at and hearing, daily checkpoints multiple times, reaching out,
Fine,
2 times a
fine.
day, three. That sounds daunting. That's systems and AI. And that's the world we live in. And one thing you a minute ago you said it's an unfair advantage. I want to challenge that though, because I don't think it is an unfair advantage. Because if your competition is using it, you're at an unfair advantage. They have an unfair advantage over you if you don't have it in place. Your competition is using it.
Yeah, I'm glad you said that because there's over 40% of real estate teams that are playing around with some sort of AI agent to try to do this. And so if you're not one of those, it will become an unfair advantage for them.
Yeah.
So good call out. Uh, and I think that, kind of like just to kind of summarize this is AI gives you the advantage of instant response, automation, qualification, so you don't have to wonder who's qualified, their timeline, personalization. Here's the big one, folks, consistency. Folks, consistency rules over everything because like we go back to a outreach is better than no outreach, right? And who agrees? That's our biggest struggle. Let's be real and honest with each other. Consistency is a struggle, right? And so we have to put systems in place to make sure that we can be consistent and behavioral
And
triggers. Yeah, go ahead. Yep.
yeah, the consistency, it does two things. It consistently, as far as the timing in which it follows up with them and always being on time. It doesn't forget to follow up with them, but it also consistently follows up with them in the same tone, the same positivity, the
Yeah.
same value building, because it doesn't have bad days like we were just talking about. AI doesn't take days off. AI doesn't get sick and feel a little groggy that day. It is the same every time it's reaching out to them. I think that's the other side of the consistency
Yeah.
that's just as valuable.
Yeah, I love that. And so there's a couple factors when it comes to lead gen and lead conversion, just to kind of summarize this. How the lead, please write this down in summary. How the lead is generated matters. We haven't talked about that too much, but I'd like to wrap up with that because it's one of the reasons why I love the options that ZBuyer has, as far as how, the cash offer approach and the questions they ask. So how it matters. And for your notes, folks, you can generate a very top of the funnel lead by asking no questions and be like, "Hey, want a free home file?" And you just get their name and email. That's a very top of the funnel lead, right? But what you do is and it costs almost nothing to generate that type of lead. Then you can generate what I call kind of like a middle-ish funnel where they're like, there's more buying intent because they've actually answered some qualifying questions. They've taken the time. Lead cost goes up, but a little more qualified. Does that make sense to everybody? And here's how you have to think about digital marketing and paid ads. Imagine the paid ad as a cold caller, or the paid ad is a follow-up SDR, and they're doing follow-up and they're doing cold call out there. And then when somebody piques their interest, right? You could have an SDR that just transferred it over and asked no questions. Or you could have somebody who asks some questions. And that's essentially what the digital, what we call digital prospecting that's happening even before they come into your CRM. And so and then there's other ways to do that through email and different things. And so Jordan, talk a little bit about your philosophy with generating leads through ZBuyer and how that works. And yeah.
So, in I don't think we've done a webinar since we put this in place, but something really cool that we started doing, to your point of, it's that cold call already taken place. It's that, SDR trying to reach out and, this is who it is. What we've done is whenever agents sign up for ZBuyer, they build what we call their public profile. So they're putting a link to their website, their headshot, their information, a short bio about themselves. They're putting that into our system. So as the homeowner is going through the form, we're introducing the homeowner to, this is Isaiah Colton. This is your expert who's going to be in contact with you. So as soon as they complete that, and then when you have that speed to lead in place, it's like we've already introduced you. They already know who's calling. They already know why you're calling, and you're Isaiah, and you're calling because they just filled out this form about a cash offer. And this was a solution to a really big problem that we saw with paid ads, because paid ads are fantastic. They're the lifeblood of a lot of teams and a lot of big systems in our industry. But the problem is going from that paid ad and being able to make the connection, make the handoff. So that's something huge that we've done. The other part of it is with our buyer leads. Everyone that comes to us as a buyer lead, they go through our form. We redirect them to the agent's website. We want to break the Zillow trap that homeowners are in of going to Zillow to look for homes for sale. So we send them directly to the agent's site. Because we want them on your site. We want you to have the traffic, the brand recognition. We want them to recognize your brokerage, your name, your website, and get away from Zillow. So we've really changed a lot in that, and trying to put the agent front and center of the process.
Yeah, and you have exclusive options now too, right? Depending on the market as well.
Primarily at this point, it is what we're selling. We've moved into that for a couple different reasons. Number one, it is a better experience for the homeowner. They have one agent calling them, and that's it. We sell it one time and it's done. The next thing is, it's a better experience for the agent. They're not competing alongside other agents that we simultaneously sold the lead to. And then the third thing we see is that overall, whenever we can put one person like that, we can put your headshot in front of them, we can introduce you to them, that connection, we see such higher contact rates. So that's where we've moved. From a compliance standpoint as well, the exclusive is some of the most compliant, best ways to go about it.
Yeah, three things, if I may, just being because one of the divisions of REN AI, we have an active real estate team in Utah over that is with EXP, and we find three things. The first one is, you guys ask a lot of questions in your form. We get a lot of information, and so it's makes it a lot easier to follow up with those leads when you have that information. That's number one, what we find. Number two is compliance. We love the compliances because that allows us to reach out through AI, automation, inside sales agent, real estate agent. We can reach out in any way. That's the other thing. The other thing is our cash offer angle. Folks, if you've never considered working a cash offer lead, in today's world with all the competition, if you only have one option, and that's a retail option that you're going to market with, you're narrowing your chances of getting a listing. Now, here's what we'll find. The way we train and coach it, everyone does a little bit different. But we find that when we go in saying, "Hey, would you consider a cash offer in the home?" We could present that, but also we want you to compare it to what you could get for full market retail. How does that sound? And they're almost nobody's like, "Oh, no, I don't want to hear the full market retail." So what ends up happening is, it's a way to your cost per lead goes down, your conversions skyrocket, because you're going in a totally different conversation to present options. Does that make sense to everybody? And so when you go in with that mindset, and you approach with that dialogue that we teach, train, and coach, it's an extremely cost effective lead, and it has a very, very high ROI. Now,
I want to jump in
yeah, go
real
ahead.
quick if you can. Yeah, two things. One, the last several years, I have been on the forefront of compliance, and what does that look like in TCPA, one-to-one regulation, all of this. I became a nerd about it. And it's something that's kept me up at nights. So I want to stress, not only are we compliant, but we use third-party systems to capture the compliance of the homeowner going through the process. We store it. So if there ever is any question, any problems, because we're using AI, and there's higher risk associated with it. If someone trying to do something, we have all of the necessary information, accredited
Love
third-party
it.
sources that verify the compliance factor on our side. So that's one thing. And then there was a question in here real quick that I just super convicted about. Someone talking about getting blacklisted by leads requesting to stop contacting me. Um, and again, I felt super convicted about this because this is not as much a problem with the lead as it is the value that you're delivering to them. Because people don't tell you to stop giving them value, and people don't tell you to stop helping them. People tell you to stop when there's not value and when you're not helping them.
Yeah, that's a really good call out. That's where the beginning is the speed of lead, then it goes into value. That's why we set it up that way. Yeah, I love it.
Yeah.
And so, and then from our end with REN AI, our big focus is number one, helping you organize your database. Number two, coming up with a multi-channel marketing approach using AI to help you increase the conversion and add value to your database. And number three is to really help make sure that you, through our coaching consulting, you have AI integrated into every part of your business. So we want to do something kind of fun here. Like I mentioned, for those of you that stayed to the end here, we're about 5 minutes to the end. You're all going to get that workbook that breaks down step by step on how to use AI for all of your lead gen and conversion needs. So how many people are excited to see the workbook? Okay. So we're going to get that out to you. Be looking in your email or text for that workbook. As promised, we'll get it to you within about 24 hours. Okay. Now, if you're interested in learning more about ZBuyer, right now, ZBuyer is gonna have a special promotion of some kind. I don't want to put Jordan on the spot here, but he's gonna work something out for you guys. So drop ZBuyer. It will be an offer only on this webinar. So drop ZBuyer in the comments right now if you want to learn more about ZBuyer. Okay, and Jordan's team will make sure they follow up. So Jordan, we'll make sure we get you this list as well of the people that are dropping ZBuyer in there. Okay. And so if you want to drop
Yeah.
ZBuyer, you want to check it out. Hey, it may never hurt. You might want to buy some more leads, right? If you're already a customer or see what else they're doing. They changed a lot of cool stuff over there. So
Yeah.
drop
Any
ZBuyer in there
existing
anyway.
customers, yeah, make sure you put ZBuyer in there. And what we'll do, I'll have our current account manager that's assigned to you reach out. What we can do is we can do an account review with you. We can look at pricing. We can look and see if there's any new products that you would have access to. So anyone that is already using us, still make sure you drop that link.
And then if you need help organizing your database and coming up with a really good multi-channel marketing campaign for ZBuyer and other leads, and you also want to make sure that you're at the cutting edge of AI for your whole business, drop REN AI in the chat. If you want to learn more, you want to check out what REN has to offer, drop REN AI in the chat. Okay. And that way we'll know that and then what we're doing right now is our coaching consulting normally costs $5,000. So there's a signing bonus right now. If you end up working with us with REN AI, you get our coaching consulting for free. Okay, so definitely huge opportunity there. So just drop REN AI in the chat if you're interested in checking that out. Okay, and uh, last last but not least, if you're maybe interested in checking out both, you're like, hey, they both sound really cool, right? And you don't really have good lead generation or really a really good follow AI powered follow up campaign with an AI agent. And we're gonna give you an opportunity to do that. And so you can drop that there, and we'll follow. We'll just drop both in the chat if you maybe are interested in seeing both. Okay, and what that would look like, and we can give you some really good options to look at both. All right.
Absolutely. Yeah. Anyone who
So
is interested in both, the guys at REN, they are actually able to help you sign up for ZBuyer. Over there with them, you can do it all together and get bundled together. So
and we'll
if
give you a discount for doing it too. Yep.
Yeah, if both is something you're interested in, at the end of the day, guys, whether you get ZBuyer leads straight from us, if you get them bundled with REN, it's all the same at the end of the day. But if you're going to do ZBuyer and if you're going to sign up for REN and you're going to do them together, work with the REN team. So that way, from the very first lead that you get from ZBuyer is going into proper systems. It's being nurtured right away. It has the speed to lead, and you're not missing out on half the puzzle to make it all work.
I love it. I love it. Folks, we try to keep these right on time. We're right at almost at the 60 minutes. We're gonna just do a 5 minute Q&A. Is that cool with everybody? So if does anybody have any questions for either Jordan and I on the topic of AI lead generation? Anything left that we have not covered yet? Anything left that we have not covered yet? Can yeah, AI can coordinate in FUB. That we actually have a full-blown integration with Follow Up Boss, very good integration with FUB. Uh, does does it does it help you with your social media? So we actually show you the tools and the technology to help you automate your social media using AI Share. It's one of the things in the coaching and consulting. Does Follow complement or compete? Some things complement, some things compete, Richard. Depends on what you're using it for, to be transparent. If you check it out, we'll identify whether it's competing or complementing. And most of the time it complements. But I just want to be transparent. Depends on how you're using Fellow. Okay.
John,
Uh,
curious to where ZBuyer gets leads. It's all through email marketing. We have a very unique approach that allows us to capture people at different timelines than typical paid ad sources. So it's all email marketing.
Love it. Yeah, and email marketing, believe it or not, is more personal than a paid ad. A lot of people don't think about that when somebody's coming into your inbox and you actually sign up to something from your inbox, can everyone see the psychology how that's more personal than it is
If I'm
like
just scrolling Facebook
yeah,
because I'm just
yeah, I'm just
wasting
like
time and if
yeah,
something pops up because it had a pretty colorful ad and it caught my attention, I stopped. That's one thing. If I'm not looking at my phone, I get a notification, I pick it up and I look and I see the subject line for the email. This is
yep,
interesting. And I go click on it and then I read and then I like what it says. So I click the button and I go to a form and I go through 12 different steps of this form, filling it out. And then I finally hit submit. That's a totally different psychology and process.
love it. Love it, love it. Yeah, so the other thing I think is um just think about that psychology filtering out throughout the fall process when that relationship's warmer, how much that like how much difference that means. We got other questions. AI calls through my FUB. So yeah, we can again sync up our proprietary smart tech and AI agent to work directly with the leads in FUB and have them flow back and forth. Can you share which platform you use to track and stay organized? So we have an organizational tool that's built in. So when you check REN AI out, that is one of the tools we have built in. Do you have stats on connection increases with REN? Yeah, Richard, if you set it up, here's the thing, Richard, it depends on the list type. Does that make sense to everybody? Like if you're working an A list, right? The connection rate is like extremely high. B list, it drops a little bit. But the connection rate, industry standard as an example on connection rate on like a B list is hovers between like 6 to 8%. Over the course of the AI working the leads, you can get that up to 10, 12, even 15% over the life cycle of working the lead simply because of consistency. So, Richard, I do want to say that depends on your list, though, right? So, if the industry standard is 6 to 8 on like a B list or whatever it may be, we've seen it get up to almost double the connection rate. Best subject line for your first email to contact the lead. Uh, John Barron, I want you to practice the God prompt and go to your favorite large language model and say, "Give me the perfect prompt to come up with the best subject line for the first email to contact my whatever the lead type." And we'll give you a prompt, and then you run the prompt, okay? And then it'll give you a whole bunch of really good ones that are powerful. I got a free gift. If you guys want to use the program GPT to really help you hone this in, just go look up REN GPT on ChatGPT. It's free. It's what we use in our coaching consulting to help you come up with some really good headlines. Okay, because it's already trained on real estate.
One thing I want to throw in there, and this is, a neat little thing that I've done, but I will go from one large language model to the next. And I'll say this large language model
Yeah.
gave me this response. What did it miss?
I
Um,
love
just an interesting thing. How about converting old leads 1 to 5 years from ZBuyer? Richard, it's absolutely possible. But whenever you start getting to that age and whenever you start thinking about, say, you buy 20 leads a month, 30 leads a month, and you've got 5 years worth of that much volume, you have to have systems and automations in place to nurture, engage, and move into buckets, determine motivations, where they're at in life, what their cause might be or the driving factor, and to either them thinking about selling or why they're not thinking about selling right now. And once you can do that at scale with AI and have these conversations, and you can put people in the appropriate places within your system and start marketing to them and nurturing them the way they need to, because you can't nurture every lead the same just because it comes from the same lead source. If you nurture everyone the same, it'll never work. Whenever you can do that at scale, that's where you can see 5-year-old leads start converting as hot as, new leads. If anything, they've incubated, they're ready.
Yeah, if any, for our real estate team, we get leads converting 2, 3 year old ZBuyer leads all the time. Happens. I
Yeah.
think some of you earlier in the chat dropped that in here. They're like, "Oh, I just converted a lead ZBuyer lead 2 years ago. That was I generated two
Yeah.
years ago."
Yeah, that's awesome. Downloading the old additional free leads that ZBuyer offers in your account. So, guys, this is a really tough one because those older free leads, whenever we're getting those, we do not have expressed one-to-one consent. We don't have the same level of TCPA compliance and
Yep.
authority for you to contact them. So we don't have them available to be downloaded. And we do this in, the reality to protect you. We don't want you to go download that list, put it into your CRM, run automations to it that you're not supposed to be doing to it, and you getting yourself in trouble. That older list, this is, the 1990s part of it. If you want to do it, if you have an ISA and you want to make calls to it, that's what that data is for. Our main core product, our real-time leads, our exclusive leads that we're selling, that's where the automations come in place. That's what we help you integrate and get directly into your system. In today's day and age, whenever you're buying a lead source, you're coming to look at us. You're not just buying a lead, you're buying the legal authority to contact someone and not being at risk of getting sued because of it.
It's worth its weight in gold
Absolutely.
for somebody that has gone through a major TPCA lawsuit because through a for sale by owner that we sent an automation to back in 2019. Trust me, it's worth it. It was $1.2 million class action lawsuit from a for sale by owner. So don't mess around with this stuff, folks. So Jordan, I'm glad you mentioned that again. Thank you. It's worth
I
its weight.
am so excited. She just said she's got 2 listings though from the old free prospecting list. That is
Oh, they're
amazing.
good. Yeah, they're
Yeah.
great. Nobody's saying don't work them.
Yeah.
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 You just have to be a little more careful is all we're saying. You're like, yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
And once you've made
Alan,
contact with them,
you're fine.
yeah, yeah, then move them over.
Move them
You're
over. You can work them any way you want once you make contact with them. Yep.
yeah.
Hi,
Um,
yes, I want to say, Jordan. So yeah, it's me, the one who said
oh
Envalia.
yeah.
So it's a lot of value in that. I just gotta nurture the lead, but I just got to listen last year from there, and it's so amazing. But it's a lot of work, time consuming, one by one, one by one. So I want to combine what the rent, the automatic, the calls, so using the AI through that list, that would be huge. I mean, I
Yeah.
think
Yeah, and
there's a lot of
Yeah.
business there.
So what
I love that. For somebody like you too, you can do automated postcards, email, text, ringless voicemail, and AI. It's all there. Like, so you're going to see a lot of value in that. Go ahead, Jordan. So,
Yeah, the other thing, say you go sign up for REN, you're using their AI system. What we will do is we'll download and we'll give you a file of all of the real-time leads where we got consent specifically for you. We will get you a file of all of those. You can import all of your real-time leads straight
Jordan,
into
that's awesome.
And guys, this is for anyone that goes and signs up with REN and you want to fill your REN database right away. We will download all of your historical leads that were your specific real-time purchase leads, because you have consent for those. So you can start with REN with potentially hundreds of leads ready to be nurtured from day one.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Awesome.
Richard, check DNC to be safe. You are absolutely correct, but we scrub our entire prospecting list daily on the national DNC, national and state levels. So check DNC, but that's something we're already doing for you on your behalf. Every lead in our system daily. I got one warm lead that I'm scheduled to get under contract this Saturday. That is awesome.
Loved it. Love it. Okay, so just out of curiosity, what was the best part of this webinar for you? Drop in the chat what you took, your big takeaway, what the best part of this webinar, so we can get some feedback and to do more of what you got out of it, and also just to be better for you. So if you guys could participate and just drop in the chat, right? What was the one or two things you got out of this webinar? What was your favorite part? And just remember, please, when you see emails from us, you see marketing from us, you see ads from us, this is one of many series we're doing on the topic of lead generation. There's still a lot more to unpack here through the series that we're going to be doing. So how many people are excited about attending the next one now that you've got a chance to attend the first one and you've learned some things here today? Awesome. Well, we're glad you guys got a ton of value out of it. Jordan, anything you want to close us out with?
Guys, if number one, you've got to have the right lead sources. Got to have lead sources that at one convert, two, they're scalable, three, they're compliant, and then you have to have the systems in place to leverage it. Because if not, you are, you're plowing fields by hand.
Yeah.
I got it. I gotta say, Jordan. So I've been with you for 5 years, and I try Zillow, I try Realtor.com, I try Facebook, Google Clips, everything, and there's nothing on the market like you guys. At the conversion, the return of investment of ZBuyer is about 200% or more.
Love it. Love it. Love it.
Did you pay him to say that, Isaiah? Because I didn't.
Shh, Jordan.
Yeah, it is. When you do that, when you do what the business come from at the end of the year, the return on investment is huge. Yeah.
Yeah.
I love it. Lindsay says, thanks for the value. Real estate is a contact sport. It's going to go on my wall framed in the office. Love it.
That's awesome.
Same here. Same here. I have it on my back wall, Lindsay. So, all right. This has been so fun hanging out with you guys. Okay. You have been really, really great. We're looking forward to seeing you on the next webinar and interacting with you, whether you're checking out ZBuyer, REN AI, or both. You guys have been awesome. Have a great day, everybody.